What I'm going to do is I have it at top dead center right now. So now what I'm going to do is come up here, I'm going to loosen the secondary tensioning on the front cylinder and on the rear cylinder. So I'm going to loosen them up, take them out for right now. Now I have removed both of my bolts, and that gives me slack in my chain. Now what I'm going to do is bring the camera over here in front of the top cylinder. On the top cylinder, here is your cams, here's your sprocket, here's your cam, here's your cam covers that hold them in. What's important to notice is that each one of these covers is numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. When you loosen these up and you take these off, remember they have to go back in the same position. Now if you look down here on the side of the cam, you'll see where the lobe is at the bottom. And here's the cap, and then the shim is underneath the cap. So what we're going to do now is that we are going to loosen these up and take the caps off. When we take the caps off, that's going to allow us to lift the cams up. And when we lift the cams up, we should be able to pull the chain off. I have loosened the bolts up on the 4 caps on the front cylinders. So I'm going to remove the first cap, and what I did is I created a board that said front, and then I numbered it so it tells me exactly what cap goes where, laying in perspective with my motor so I don't get them mixed up. There's 3, and now number 4. Uh-oh, 4's tight, so I'm going to have to get that off there. Okay, number 4 came off. Here it is. Just a little stubborn, but I got it off. I'm going to lay it down on the board. Now, with my caps being off, my chain is loose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift up my cam very slowly. And I'm going to pull the chain off. Easier said than done. But there's the... And I'm going to lay that down with my caps. And now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to pull this cam, the front one, off, and now I'm going to lay it down with my caps. Now the front cylinder chain is now loose. If you notice, the front cylinder chain comes down over the triple gear. The triple gear, all I got to do is drop my chain down to the inside and she comes right off. But please note, the front cylinder chain came off the front sprocket. The front cylinder has been all done. Now we're coming back here to the rear cylinder. This is cap number 6. Gonna lay it over here on 6. Cap number 5. Gonna put it on 5. Number 7 is on 7. Number 8 is on 8. Now, once again, I'm just going to lift up the cam, pull the chain off the cam, pull the cam out, bring the cam down here, put 5 back over there, 7 back over there, 6, 5 and 6. I'm going to come back up here, I'm going to pull the last cam off, let my chain drop down to the inside, bring the cam over here, there's 8 and there's 7. As with the front, the chain is falling down. But now what you got to remember is that the chain is on the second gear back. And then you can pull your chain up out of there. What I have done now is just clean this up a little bit. Here I'm going to show you cap 3 and 4. Down here you can see cap number 1 and cap number 2, which is stamped in the head, are removed. Underneath these caps are your shims, so you don't want to get these mixed up. So what I have done with my lovely assistant here is that I marked the bags, number 1 and number 2, and I'm going to have 8 of these. And that's how I'm going to keep my shims along with my caps straight. But now the question is, how do you get the caps with the shims? You take a magnet, you put it on the top of it, and all you got to do is lift up. When you lift up, be careful that you don't lose your shim. Now I pulled the cap. As you can see, my shim is laying right here. So I'm going to take the shim, I'm going to bring it over here. I'm sorry, the camera stinks, I'm not very good at that. Put the shim and the cap in there. We'll do it one more time so maybe we can see this on number 4. I'm going to put the magnet on top of the cap. I'm going to pull the cap off real nice and slow and easy. And wouldn't you know it, this one, the shim actually stayed inside the cap. That's a good thing, and that's number 4. We'll just take it and drop it in the bag, and that's how you remove the caps and the shims and not lose them. Use a nice strong magnet, and they usually stay together. Now I'm going to repeat the same process on the rear cylinder. I now have all 8 of my caps off, so now I'm going to begin to remove the heads. On the heads, there's 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Them are your main 4 primary bolts. Here on your side, where your chains come up, there's 1, 2 here, and then there's a third one out here going to the outside of the block. I'm going to remove the outside first. Remove the second and third one here, because these 4 here are the ones that have primarily got the pressure on your block. So if you take these out, now you have these small ones to contend with to hold all that pressure on there. So what we're going to do is take 1, 2, 3 out first, and then we can loosen these up and then pull the head off. So I'm going to begin to loosen up my bolts now. I have removed the 4 bolts holding the head on. All you got to do is just tap it a little bit. When you tap it, there's the head right off now the block. Just take it over here and set it down. Now here on the block you got your 2 guides for your chain, and here you also have your head gasket. So we'll just take it and just pull it right up, and there's your head gasket. Your head gasket is now off. Okay, same as the front head. Pull the 4 bolts out. Real easy to get them out, and you just tap it, she comes loose, and you just pull the head off. There you go, there's the other half. Now what I have done now is I've taken brake cleaner and a rag, and I've cleaned out the whole entire flat surface of the cylinder head. Now down here on the block I've done the same thing. I took brake cleaner and a rag and just wiped all this off the best that I possibly can. Now you take the head gasket and you put the head gasket on in place. This is the rear head gasket, and it's also on the top. Now this is crucial on this next step, or in other words you'll be taking this head off again. This idler tension has to be locked in on the top of the cylinder head when you put it on. So make sure that you take this idler tension and put it on. Reach in here with your thumb, is like I do, and you can it'll seat itself. Nice and easy, slid right on, no problem. The idler tension is locked in place. Now what I got to do is reverse my bolts by putting my 4 head bolts in, torquing them down to the sequence according to the book, and then I'm going to put my 2 on the inside here where the idler tension is, and the 1 up here for this one. Then I'm going to spin my motor around. I'm going to do the same process for the front cylinder, and making sure that the idler tension gets locked in on the head. Alright, now I'm going to start to reassemble the top of the heads. I'm going to put my shims back in on top of the springs, then carefully take my caps and push them on. I'm going to do that to all 8 of them. Number 3. Put the shim on top. Put the cap on. Good to go. Number 4.